You used to call me on my. You used to. Yeah. You used to call me on the cell phone, late night when you need my love. Call me on the cell phone, late night when you need my love. And I know in the holiday that could only mean one thing. And I know in the holiday that could only mean one thing.
Roll the credits.
Flicks. Time Travel Tuesday.
What's up, guys? Thanks for watching another episode of Short You Flicks. My name is Mersky. This is my boy, Will. Instead of watching all of those terrible movies that came out this week, we decided to do something a little bit different. We're both excited for Spectre that's coming out on November 6th, and it might be Daniel Craig's last turn as James Bond. So what we decided to do was throw it back to Time Travel Tuesday to 2006 for Daniel Craig's first turn as James Bond in Casino Royale. So, Will, in 2006, before all the trailers, before all the announcements, did you even want a new James Bond movie?
Not even remotely.
What is it about Daniel Craig that kind of brought a new dynamic to James Bond?
He was just his character. So like his portrayal of James Bond is definitely darker. It has some kind of past you don't really know about, and just a lot less flamboyant in a good way.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, let's get right into it. For Casino Royale, Daniel Craig's debut as James Bond, let's start off with watchability. So,
Sure.
Will, how watchable was Casino Royale?
For me, the watchability, right off the bat, I gave it 4 out of 5. Not a perfect score, but 4 is pretty good. It's an action movie with a few twists and turns that keeps your attention. Because let's be realistic. The ones that kind of led up to the revamp of Casino Royale, they were pretty dumbed down.
Yeah, and then a lot of the kind of storyline was dragged on, rehashed, and kind of not tailored to the kind of the modern action audience.
Right. That's also another reason that I thought the watchability was good. The stunt work was amazing. The parkour in the beginning,
Yes.
the car chase scenes, the just everything just had a more realistic feel. Everything was more grounded. Because again, I don't want to bash on Pierce Brosnan too much, but that scene where he was basically surfing, I forgot which one it was, but I'm just happy that Casino Royale brought it back to at least somewhat realistic expectations of stuff you can actually maybe do in real life. But also the rewatch value is very good. I mean, this movie was 2006 we said, right?
Yeah.
2006. So 9 years later, I can still watch it and have a very good time watching it. So 4 out of 5 for me. What about you?
Cool. I give it a 4 out of 5 also. For me, it was different from all the other James Bond movies that had led up to that, like you said, all the way back to, I guess, when Pierce Brosnan first started in GoldenEye in 1995. So it was kind of like just a new take on James Bond, where he wasn't as suave as he was in any of the movies from the past. There was some grit. There was just there were some chiseled edges to him rather than him being just this smooth talker all the time. So for me, 4 out of 5. Again, I can watch it almost any time that it's on if there's nothing else on. And it's just like it's there, and there's a lot more dynamic to the movie than just Daniel Craig. Also, they had Eva Green. You had the fact that they were actually playing a high stakes poker game right in the middle of the movie, and all this other stuff was happening after that. So it's again 4 out of 5 for me, which also leads to the next category, which is
Fun factor.
fun factor. Well, I'm gonna have you lead this one off too.
Sure. It's an action flick that's good, but it also has actually a pretty good storyline as well. It's not just relying on action. It actually had some substance behind it in terms of story development, as you see, because now they've had 3 total movies, or is it 4 now? 3.
I think it's gonna be with Spectre. It's gonna be 4.
Spectre's gonna be 4, right? Yeah. So I mean, obviously they planned this movie to have multiple ones following that, and you can kind of see it, but not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe way. It's more so. Great story right in its own right, and then you can kind of tell, all right, there's going to be something else that's going to come in the future. So Fun fact, I did give it 4 out of 5. It is a film that can not only be enjoyed amongst friends, but is also something you can kind of, do the Netflix and chill thing, I believe the cool kids say nowadays.
Wow.
And there's a couple of decent spots that have the comedic relief that I do like. They kind of snuck in nice and neatly, especially the scene where he where 007 gets mistaken as a valet park driver. I like that one a lot. So I gave it 4 out of 5. What do you think?
Fun factor, I think I'll go one better, or half a point better. It's 4.5 out of 5. This had really the most kind of realistic, hard-hitting action of any of the James Bond movies of that kind of decade, I guess. So from 2000, between 2000 and 2010, Casino Royale came out in 2006. Of all the James Bond movies before that with Pierce Brosnan, this had the most kind of like realistic, if you can call it realistic, action, or the most entertaining type of action.
Right.
And again, fun factor, just it was really fun to watch. There's really no point in there where you're kind of not looking forward to what the next scene is going to be. So for me, fun factor is going to be 4 out of 5. We're going to
4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5. We're going to go ahead and move on to tone.
Yes.
So for me, tone kind of was, again, different from a lot of the other James Bond movies where it had a kind of a realistic, grounded type feel to it. In some of the older James Bond movies, like you can go all the way back to the Connery days, there was a lot of plot points that were just kind of very just out there, especially there was Moonraker, Moonraker, Goldfinger. There's none of that really in this movie, except there's a guy's eye bleeds.
I cry blood.
I cry blood. But that's really the only kind of fantastical type thing that happens here that on a scale of camp that the other ones had.
Right.
So the tone for me, I liked it a lot. I'm gonna go 4 out of 5 on tone, and it's consistent throughout the movie. There's no point in the movie where I'm kind of led out of that type of tone. So for me, 4 out of 5 for tone. What about you?
I'm gonna go a little bit lower, but not too low to say that was bad. I gave it 3 out of 5, right smack dab in the middle.
Okay.
I like that. This kind of goes into the editing part, but I'm going to include it in the tone as well. I like that they used black and white, and then they did also in certain scenes they overexposed the scene just in terms of the actual white balance, just to convey the feel of it. So the black and white kind of showed like this is he was James Bond, but he wasn't 00 yet. And the overexposed scenes, like when he got poisoned during the poker tournament.
Oh, that's a great scene.
Where everything's kind of overexposed, kind of blurry, and just a lot of white to show that he's poisoned, and this is what he feels like. So I like that part about it a lot. You can tell this entire film was used to set up, to show that he's the new 007 and that he's still very much green.
Yeah.
He's a rookie. He hasn't been doing this for a long time, so he kind of shows that throughout the film.
Yeah, it's almost a reboot. Kind of a reboot.
Pretty much a reboot. They always do that with 007 movies, but this one's kind of like, okay, let's ignore everything from the past except for M.
It's really though, I think though for this series, this current series, they really just decided to do a revamp, whereas the other ones, they kind of just, it was the same type of Bond, but they kind of just changed the actor. I think that's because they had to, but it was a great move on the producer's part, whoever was responsible for it, but good move to kind of just use this series as kind of rebooting it for a different audience.
Yeah, I agree. I like that it's also like some of the scenes were very methodical and pretty downright badass. But then almost instantly he went from being like a very, very good 007 to back to being James Bond before he gets 00 status, where he's very brash, has a huge ego, and also he trusts people way too easily. So it's like, that's what kind of brought the score down for me, was the fact that James Bond, well, it was kind of showing how new he was as a 00, but at the same time, like, how do you go from being the super awesome badass that can break into your boss's house and extract information from her laptop to a guy that trusts the wrong people way too often and basically setting yourself up to getting kidnapped and getting your nuts hit by a giant rope. Just saying.
Wow.
That's why it's a 3, not a 4 or a 5.
Because you felt it in your nuts.
I did. And I still do, even though it's like the 7th time watching the movie.
By the way, sidebar, that guy is Hannibal Lecter now, isn't he? On the new series Hannibal?
He is, and I still see him as Le Chiffre.
Le Chiffre.
With his tears of blood.
Tears of blood.
And really fancy inhaler.
Moving on. Pace and editing. I'm going to lead this one off because the pace of the movie was great, and then there was a lot of action, but then during the poker tournament scenes, there was just a lot of suspense. For me, pace and editing to kind of filter through like the parkour, the nice action scenes, fight scenes, and then just to kind of have that tension of the poker tournament in the middle, I thought it was awesome. So for me, pace and editing pretty much gets a 4.5 out of 5.
I mean, I'm gonna go 5 out of 5 for this one also.
Nice. Okay.
I'm gonna parlay off of what you thought about the poker tournament a little bit more, where you could tell the way they did it. They also filmed it and kind of spliced it in a way that showed like it was a long ordeal. It wasn't just all right. We sat down, we played for an hour, and then it was it. They played for multiple days.
Yeah.
The way they captured it, it showed that they're like, listen, this was drawn out. It was tedious.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just something like, all right, I'm here, I win, let's go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was done very, very, very well. To reiterate what I said in the last category, again, the way they used lighting, the way they used the way they decided to use filters like the black and white and stuff like that, really kind of put that movie to the 5 out of 5. It's supposed to be a 4 out of 5 for me.
Yep.
I thought the action sequences were captured properly. I'm not gonna say really good or amazing. I'm gonna say it's captured properly.
They're filmed well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there were certain segments where they actually zoomed in on like James Bond's hands, stabbing someone to show how exactly he got the knife into his own hands. So that kind of little touches like that where you kind of show like, all right, this is how he got control of his hand. Stab himself with a knife.
Nice.
Again, I didn't see any mistakes. At least in my eye, I didn't see any. There probably might be a couple that we may missed, but I didn't really look for it this time. It did go a little bit too long, in my opinion, but it had to.
Yeah.
Because this movie couldn't have ended the way it needed to in order to set up the Quantum of Solace, which ended up being the second one. That was the second one, right? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Quantum of Solace,
in order to set up Quantum of Solace, they had to kind of extend the ending to lead it up to it. I feel like if they didn't have a sequel in mind, that they could have probably ended it right where he lived happily ever after.
Yeah, and then they wouldn't have that spoiler alert.
Dun-dun!
That drowning scene with Eva Green, which was kind of was like a little too realistic for me.
You know what it was. I love that like, even though it's like you sound like a dog.
That's what you. So when you never actually see somebody drowning in a movie. When
that's true. You always see him spluttering on top.
You see Eva Green looking at James Bond like, look, I'm gonna die, and you're about to watch me die, and then all of a sudden, and you see all the water kind of just filling her lungs, and her just kind of biting it, and then you're just like, oh man.
That scene was so, leading because it was so like. I'll give him credit for this also. I forgot who the director was, but the way they kind of captured. James Bond putting all his guards down, literally saying, I have no more armor. Mm-hmm. This is me, and I hope this is enough for you. Yeah. I mean, it was all, in terms of the character that she portrayed, she did that methodically to really get that money from him that he won from the tournament. But when she realized that, listen, you're not going to save me, I'm not going to let you try and save me. When she locked herself in the elevator and went into the water. Yeah. The way she, as he was struggling to open up the gate to try to get her out, and she just, put her hand on his hand and said, it's going to be okay. Yeah. And then she, freaks out.
Yeah, because...
Broke my heart, man.
Yeah, man,
broke my heart.
That's one of the... that's the part of this series of James Bond that kind of got you, and that's kind of what got you in the movie, was that there was an actual, not a non-superficial relationship. There was a connection there that he had to let go of, and kind of just what molded him into the James Bond that you see in the later films. Yeah. So for me, again, pace and editing, 4.5 out of 5. Will gives it a 5 out of 5. Yep. Okay. Yep. So what we're going to do now is go to acting. I'll have you lead this one off.
I would love to. For acting, I give it 4 out of 5. Just because, again, I try not to give perfect scores for acting just because there's certain movies that are so phenomenally done that those deserve a 5 out of 5. So movies that like these where they're not supposed to be Academy Award winners, I'm not giving perfect scores because
Right.
it's not really meant to be that way. But with that in mind, I do think that casting Daniel Craig, he was the man for the job.
Right.
I don't know what they saw. I don't know what kind of screening process they went through, what kind of auditions they went through to kind of get him into the role. But whatever it was, masterfully done. Good job. I can't imagine who's going to be the next James Bond because I don't feel good for them.
Yeah, Daniel Craig is going to be a really hard act to follow.
Yeah.
All the elements that he brought to the character, again, as far as just grit, charm, ego, and stuff, especially for this movie that just got broken down at the end of the film and then starts to build up the 007 that we get to see again in the later films. He, again, perfect. I think perfect casting. There was a little controversy as to casting him just because of the dirty blonde hair and the blue eyes, which James Bond never had. He's always kind of been this dark hair, brown eyed, stoic, smooth, debonair spy. But Daniel Craig broke the mold, and
Well, those blue eyes. I mean, not to be weird with it, but those blue eyes at certain moments really kind of pulled you even more into the scene even more because it was like it was almost the eyes almost showed like a sense of desperation in certain scenes where, let's be real, a guy with black eyes or brown eyes maybe might not have pulled that off just because the blue eye look is so rare nowadays anyway. Like a true blue like that, I think that might be actually part of why they cast him. But moving on past Daniel Craig and the infatuation with him, I want to highlight Ava Green, who played Vesper. I think that she did very well. She also, to me at least, very stunning, very beautiful woman that had the acting chops to go along with it. It wasn't just a Denise Richards kind of casting where you just all looks. It was looks and skill to back it all up.
Does she still act, Denise Richards?
I really hope not. She had really good chemistry with Daniel Craig on screen. At least I don't know if that was how they are outside of filming, but during the actual filming of scenes and what came across in the movie theaters or in this essence in my bedroom, it came across as very organic. I liked her take on the strong female role, especially being a strong female lead in a movie like this, a Hollywood blockbuster as this. I like that she didn't take crap from 007.
Right.
Not one single ounce. And the scene where where he comes in, gives her a dress, and tells her what to do, what to say, how to act, so that he gets the right attention from the other poker players. And he gets basically exact same thing done to him the scene later when she gives him a tailored suit. Very well done.
Yeah.
Also, Mads Mikkelsen, who we just talked about as a new Hannibal.
Yeah.
I think that he played Le Chiffre wasn't half bad. I believe the character itself was, I don't think it was developed properly, because how do you have this major villain who's like the money manager of all the major crime syndicates and terrorist organizations, if you're this money manager who has this great ability to do math, usually those kind of people aren't inclined to gamble the way he does. Because this guy, essentially, based on the storyline, took a whole boatload of money from this, what was it? This terrorist organization, and then invested it all on a bet on a stock.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to set it up for failure by crashing the plane. And anyway, I just thought the character was kind of not very well thought out, because usually people that are that inclined to manage money that properly wouldn't gamble it like that in one shot.
Right, and for his character, he was actually a really more the, I guess the quieter Bond villains, where everybody was kind of a little like, you always have like a signature character villain. Yeah. In a lot of the Bond films, especially the older ones. You had Odd Job, Jaws, Dr. No. Sure. But it's just like he didn't really play it as over the top as they did. Yeah. Very understated, a lot of character development that could have been there better, I guess. Like the character development was really just underdeveloped just for his character, I guess. You knew he was the bad guy, but then you didn't really have a backstory as to why he was the bad guy.
Why did he need an inhaler also? That seemed like an unnecessary weakness.
And why is his eye bleeding?
Yeah, I feel like they gave him that scar, just gave him a distinctive look.
Yeah.
But the whole asthma inhaler part, it to show that he's weak in a way. I mean, but that really did nothing to make him look any weaker to me.
You also would have thought that it would have been there to show a tell for the poker game that they were playing, but it didn't really.
Yeah.
That wasn't the tell.
I thought that maybe it was like their way of kind of getting the secret little chip to the little the tracker that how he snuck it into his inhaler. But again, that inhaler didn't end up playing a role in this movie.
Yeah.
So it's like
random stuff added that didn't need to be there.
That to me is probably like the one major blaring downside to this movie. It wasn't necessarily Mickelson's portrayal of him, it was the fact that the character is so underdeveloped.
Yeah. Well, speaking of characters that have been there in the past, but are just kind of off there as a sidebar, but as a facilitating sidebar to the movie, Judi Dench as M. She's plays a role to a T.
That's her role, man.
Right? That's her role in almost like every serious movie of this type, but she does it with great perfection. Yep. Jeffrey Wright as the American agent was very good. Before that, I saw him in Shaft as a totally different character, Peoples. Do you remember that with Samuel L. Jackson?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I had no interest in ever watching Shaft. I never will.
Okay. Well, I saw it, and then totally different character. So when I saw him in this movie, I thought he was gonna have the same accent he did in Shaft. Sure. Totally didn't. Played the American CIA agent to the T. Yeah. So.
I like him. I mean, I think that Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright. Sorry, pronunciation horrible. Every time I see him, I just think of Hunger Games now. To be honest with you, because I like his role in that movie. Yeah. The scientists who beat the games by just using science and surviving, not killing people. Yeah. But yeah, I think that Jeffrey Wright's a good actor in his own, everything that he's done so far. So,
So acting, final score?
I give that a 4 out of 5.
I also give it a 5. So to wrap up this Time Travel Tuesday review of Casino Royale, we're going to start off with watchability. I gave it a 4 out of 5. We'll give it a
4 out of 5.
And then for fun factor, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. We'll give it a
4 out of 5.
For tone, I gave it a 4 out of 5. We'll give it a
3 out of 5.
I gave pace and editing a 4.5 out of 5. We'll give it a
5 out of 5.
And for acting, I gave it a 4 out of 5. We'll give it a
1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5.
Which gives our total score for Casino Royale a B. Thanks for watching this episode of SHORYUFLICKS. My name is Mersky. This is my boy, Will. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We'd love to hear what you think. You can also find us on Facebook now at SHORYUFLICKS, Instagram at SHORYUFLICKS, and on Twitter at SRFlicks. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Adios.
SHORYUFLICKS.